The second dramatic booster I'm presenting is transcendence. What this transcendence refers to is the transcendence of reality. We are all living in the real world. When we listen to some operatic masterpieces, we can feel ourselves being transported to another world. Their music acts on our imagination as well as through our senses to create an alternate reality. The music paints pictures of this reality in our minds. The texture of the music plays on our sense of touch. At the same time, the harmony of the music goes through our ears to our hearts. These combine to give us the perception that in that moment, we are in a different place. The dramatic structure of the operatic masterpieces we are listening to then has such a high level of drama that when we reach this new destination, we feel we are confronted with something which can only be created by a superior intellect. We come into contact with ideas that seem much bigger than us, an opportunity to transcend ourselves for us to attain a more advanced state of consciousness awaits. Orchestra and singers work together to generate this effect. One composer, above all, is consistently able to achieve this in more masterpieces than any other. His name is Wagner. For his operatic masterpieces to enable a person to progress from one state of consciousness to another, they must be formidable. Normally, we'll regard such progress as something requiring extraordinary steps like consuming mind-altering substances or participating in spiritual exercises. I won't deny that Wagner does impose comparable demands on his listeners, but it's possible to journey through his operas without as heavy a toll. To give you a preview of that journey, I'll be taking you through a musical excerpt from one of Wagner's easier operas, Lohengrin. This excerpt is from a duet by the title role and the heroine of the opera, Elsa. Elsa is the heiress to the Duchy of Brabant. At the beginning of the opera, Elsa had been accused of murdering her little brother, the heir, after he disappeared during their walk. As though out of a dream, the knight appeared. The knight offered to fight for Elsa and take her under his protection, but on one condition. That condition is Elsa must not ask him where he came from and who he is, which she accepted. The knight defeats Elsa's accuser in a trial by combat and asks Elsa for her hand in marriage. The wedding ceremony is disrupted by the wife of Elsa's accuser. She declares that the knight seems suspicious because he used magic to win the trial earlier. Although the peace at the ceremony is later restored, Elsa begins to suspect the knight. On the first night of their marriage in the bridal chamber, Elsa's dream will come to a cruel end in the duet we'll be listening to. This duet, known as the bridal chamber scene after the place where it happens, is sung by tenor Piotr Beczala playing the role of the knight and soprano Anya Hateros playing the role of Elsa. In the first half of this excerpt, the knight sings how being with Elsa makes him drunk with a happiness that binds him with magic he'll gladly submit to. In the second half of this excerpt, the knight sings how his heart knew Elsa was the woman destined to be his wife when they first met. The orchestra creates an atmosphere which instills a sense of inner peace in us. It transports us to the fairy tale world where the knight is living with Elsa in absolute bliss. Beczala complements this by singing as though his characters truly from such a world. Beczala sings with the beautiful poetry of a fairy tale being, but this poetry doesn't fade on the slightest touch like fairy wings. As appropriate for the knight he's playing, Beczala's poetry carries a sense of conviction which gives it weight. Let's listen to the excerpt.
Im
And now to witness the high level of drama in Wagner's transcendental masterpiece by hearing a series of excerpts leading to its conclusion. The next excerpt is also from the bridal chamber scene. Elsa's suspicion has mutated into a fear that the knight will dump her. This fear has reached the point she thinks the knight might abandon her anytime. The knight fails to pacify her. Thinking the knight will leave anyway, Elsa desperately asks him about his identity. The knight's warning falls flat on her. Elsa's questions grow more insistent. The knight loses control of his magic under Elsa's persistent questioning. Elsa's accuser, who's been lying in ambush, is now able to attack him but is struck dead. The knight has no choice but to reveal his identity. Both Hatevos and Vexala are really good here. You can sense Elsa's hysteria and the knight's agony in their performance. To experience that, let's hear them in action. In the next excerpt, the knight will reveal his identity. His revelation is a musical number known as the Grail narration. We'll only be listening to the last part of it. The knight has revealed that he's one of a group of knights sent by the Holy Grail, a divine relic, to redress injustices. When this part begins, the knight explains why his identity had been secret. The Grail is too sacred for ordinary men to be aware of its presence among them in the form of his followers. Hence, as one of them, he has to leave now that his identity is exposed. Initially, Vexala, playing the knight, sings calmly since he's just explaining the reason for his secrecy to the others. Later, he becomes emotional since the knight now blames Elsa for not having trusted him enough, which has led to this abrupt farewell. He deeply regrets what's happened. It greatly pains him to leave, but he has no choice. Towards the end, the knight discloses his name as Lohengrin, son of the head of the Knights of the Grail. We'll now listen to this classic.
Mein Vater
In the last excerpt, Lohengrin says goodbye to Elsa, but not before promising her brother will return and passing her a few keepsakes. This is a really tragic goodbye, considering how Elsa naively destroyed her dream marriage. We'll round out the section with this. If you had fun watching this video, please help me like it. If you like to continue chasing this series, please subscribe to my channel. If you wish to express your views about it or discuss it further, please feel free to leave a comment. Thank you and stay tuned.